Terrence Blanchard, composer for Perry Mason. I thought this was a great marriage between material and composer because it's set in 30s LA and you came up with a very moody, jazzy scores. How did you come aboard the show?
Well, I mean, Tim just called me and wanted to sit down and have a conversation about the project. They sent me the script. I read it. And when I got a chance to sit down with him, man, I think we talked about the show for about maybe 15 minutes. We kind of got that. And then we really started talking about how we both lived in Brooklyn for a long time and we just became really instant friends.
So what did you discuss in those 15 minutes about the show?
Well, the thing that I love was they sent me just a small little thing to watch. And I told them, I said, what blew me away about the show was the look of it and the approach of it. I kept telling people, I said, "This is not your daddy's Perry Mason. This is something different. You know, it's a new animal." The daringness of the characters that were cast for the show, the look of the show. I kept telling them, they sent me a trailer too with a big band arrangement on it. And when I looked at it and listened to it, I went, okay, I understand why you use big band, but I really think in this case, the big band track sounds dated compared to what we're looking at on screen. And I told him what we should try to do is go for an amalgamation of like old and new things, and he was really into it. And I told him, I said, well, I need to sit in my studio and just kind of mess around with some of these ideas at first. And I did. And I, sent him some things, but it wasn't really till I got that full first episode that it really just started to come together for me because I could see everything. I could feel the pace of the show and look at the performances of the actors. And then that really just kind of set the tone. And I was telling Tim in that show, man, that milk truck that Perry was driving at the beginning of the show, that was it for me, man. That rickety thing kind of set the tone. It's like, okay, well, there needs to be some kind of really raw element rhythmically to the score. So I'd found this little metallic thing that I started to put an arpeggiator on, and it created something that Tim really did.
Yeah, I really love how it's retro, but also modern because you infuse it with a lot of like electro elements and stuff. And I also like that, the story and like the plot, the case are serious and dark. And maybe like your natural instinct is to write like somber music, but a lot of the pieces are very lively. So I guess, maybe it's like that. The milk truck scene, but how do you pick like which scenes to use the more energetic music?
Well, it was really based on just the overall show. You know what I mean? For me, it's like when you watch I would watch the episodes and I would start to feel like, okay, well, we don't need to pull the energy down here. We need to keep things moving. Like one of my favorite shots is when they fly in the plane, when Perry goes up in the air. I really love that shot. And I think for me, that was more of an operatic type of thing, even though the trumpet is the thing that's playing. The main thing is I told Tim, and I still tell him this to this day. I said, this project was the first project that I've ever worked on where everything was on the screen. There was no need for me to really push any kind of emotional content, or go in the opposite direction. Pull back. I just needed to be right there with the actors and the performances because, you had veteran actors, man. John Lithgow was just amazing. It was just an incredible experience to have, and I feel very blessed to have gone through it.
You've said before that I don't want to misquote you, but like you usually have like colors in mind when you're composing or for like a particular like scene or like an emotion or something. So what colors did you have in mind for Perry Mason?
There was a lot of blues in it. I know it's a jazz phrase, but I really actually mean the color blue. There were a lot of blues, and oddly enough, a lot of reddish tones in it for me. The scene where they follow the actor and they see him having an affair with this other woman. That entire sequence just had a hue to it that was kind of somber in tone, but still kind of hot in its emotional content. And that really, at first, man, I was so intrigued by that because at first I didn't know exactly where to go, but then I started to realize, listen, just follow the emotion of the scene, the emotion of the story. And I tried a bunch of things, with this show. I would throw different things at it. And the cool part about it is like once I would strike the right tone for certain scenes, it took me a minute to accept it, really. You know what I mean? Because I kept wondering, am I going in the right direction? Am I doing this thing justice because this is a period piece? But this just feels just right. And when I went with my gut, I was a little nervous the first time Tim got a chance to really see everything, man. But he called me up and he said, "Man, I just love the direction you're going into." And when I had that phone call, that was like the green light for me. The rest of it was just about, okay, well, this is the direction we're going. And one of the things that we started to establish quickly, early on in the project is this whole term of creating Perry's world. So sometimes we would try some elements or some sonic things, and Tim would go, "I just don't feel like that's part of Perry's world." And I got it immediately. So then once we establish a palette of colors, then the rest of it is just, composition, and storytelling.
I also really like that there were different end credits tracks
Oh yeah.
for the episodes, but I went into that like.
Well, one of the things we wanted to, we knew that, this is pre what most people knew of as Perry Mason, and we didn't want to really come in with the main theme, until he actually became Perry Mason. But at the same time, we wanted to keep the end credits kind of interesting. And it really started out just from the emotions of the show. I remember the first one when we did it, okay, we said fine. And then when we got to the episode where E.B. Johnson committed suicide, there was just no way we could do anything energetic at the end of that, because that entire episode was just like an emotional roller coaster. So, that kind of sparked the whole thing about, okay, well, maybe all of these should be different. Let's try something different from all of them. And I had so much fun. Probably it was the first time I had fun doing end credits for a show.
They were all great and they were all different. Like you just want to watch the full credits.
That's what I did here. Actually, when I would finish them, I would just listen here back and I go, okay, one more time. Boop, let me hear it one more time. It was just cool. It was cool. It was fun.
Yeah. Well, the fifth episode is the one in which Perry becomes an attorney, and the end credits theme for that was that a little nod to the original series theme, because it sounded a bit similar.
Yes. What we tried to do is, what I did was to take bits of the final arrangement that I had come up with for the theme and take all of the thematic material out of it, And actually, I'll clue you into a little secret. There's actually 2 versions, but we only used one so far.
Wow. What's the other version?
I'm not saying. I'm sworn to secrecy. I gave blood and we had a secret handshake, so I can't tell you.
Well, do you have a favorite end credits track from any of the episodes?
Oh, it's when we do the theme. Man, I grew up hearing that theme. That, and it's funny. What's funny about that? I wasn't really old enough at first to watch it, but I would hear it because my mom and them would send me to bed. And they would be in the next room, and they would watch Perry Mason, and I would hear the theme. So that theme is like an iconic thing. So to get a chance to do an arrangement of it was a huge honor. And man, I spent a lot of time and putting in some thought behind it, like trying to keep that 12/8 kind of feel to it, but modernize it and not be afraid of bringing my voice to it, and I just felt blessed to be a part of the entire thing. But that's the one that I enjoyed the most, obviously.
Yeah, it's a very cool remix.
Thank you.
Of an iconic theme. So, well, the show is renewed for a second season. Are you returning for the second season?
We've already been talking. Yes, I'm excited about it. You know, here's the thing that's like really cool about working with Tim, man. They give you time. You know, he didn't bring me in at the last minute and say, "Oh, I need music." No, they brought me in very early on, and it gave me time. It gave me time to kind of develop the sound and develop the kind of concept for the show. So I'm looking forward to doing the same thing. And here's the other thing, I guess that needs to be mentioned. One of the things that was frustrating, not frustrating, but an issue was that because of the pandemic, man, we couldn't be in the studio with musicians. So we had to like send everything out to musicians and have them record in their home studios. Then we brought everything back and then we put everything together. You know, now hopefully when we do another season, I'll be able to be in a room, you know, with some musicians and have some feedback from them, because I'm a jazz artist, you know what I mean? You know, nothing is etched in stone for me. So I love working in the studio with great musicians who have great ideas, you know, to feed off of them as well. So I'm looking forward to season 2, because I think just because of what's going on in the world, you know, we're going to have a lot more opportunities to do some creative things.
Well, Terrence, it was great speaking with you. Thanks so much for your time, and we'll see you back in a little bit.